Welcome to my audio article, Democritus and the Birth of Atomism. Long before the age of modern physics, when microscopes and particle accelerators could reveal the hidden world within matter, a small group of ancient Greek thinkers began to wonder what everything was made of. They asked a question that would echo for more than 2,000 years. If you keep cutting matter into smaller and smaller pieces, would there come a point where it could no longer be divided? The men who first dared to answer that question were Leucippus and his student Democritus, two philosophers from the 5th century before Christ. Together they formed what would later be called the Atomist school, teaching that all things in the universe are composed of tiny, invisible, and indestructible particles they called atoms. The word atoms comes from the Greek atomos, meaning uncuttable. To these philosophers, the atom was the ultimate unit of matter, eternal and unchanging. Between these atoms lay the void, empty space that allowed them to move and combine in countless ways. Everything, stones, water, fire, air, even the human soul, was thought to be made from atoms in motion. The atomist ideas stood in sharp contrast to another group known as the Eleatics, led by the philosopher Parmenides. The Eleatics denied that change or motion could even exist. They argued that reality was a single, solid, unchanging whole, and that the movement was an illusion of the senses. To them, the very idea of empty space was impossible because nothing could not exist. Democritus accepted part of Parmenides' reasoning, but turned it upside down. If change is real, he argued, then there must be both being and non-being. Being was matter, the atoms, and non-being was the empty space in which they moved. Without the void, there could be no motion. Without atoms, there could be no substance. In this simple but radical way, Democritus reintroduced motion and the change into philosophy. The world, he said, was built from infinite atoms differing in size and shape. Some were rough and hooked, others smooth and round. When the atoms collided to join together, they formed in various materials of nature. Liquids flowed because their atoms were round and slid easily past one another. Solids held together because their atoms were jagged-edged that hooked tightly together. Even taste and color, Democritus suggested, could be explained by the arrangement and texture of atoms composing an object. Born in Abdera, a Greek city on the Thracian coast, Democritus was said to have traveled widely to Egypt, Prussia, and perhaps even India, seeking knowledge from other cultures before returning to Greece to teach. Very little about his life is known for certainty. Later generations called him the Laughing Philosopher, either because of his cheerful outlook or because he laughed at the foolishness of man's vanity. Although most of his writings are lost, Democritus reportedly authored more than 60 works on subjects ranging from physics and astronomy to mathematics, ethics, and literature. Fragments quoted by later writers give us only a glimpse of his vast intellect. Aristotle often referred to Democritus in his own works, sometimes to challenge his ideas, but always with respect. A later commentator named Simplisticus preserved much of what we know about Democritus' view of atoms. He wrote that Democritus believed in atoms to be infinite in number and variety, moving chaotically in an infinite void. When they collided, they could link together by their shapes and remain bound until some greater force tore them apart. To Democritus, nothing truly came into being or ceased to exist. Atoms merely combined and separated in endless patterns. It was a remarkable modern vision, a universe governed not by divine will, but by laws of motion and combination. Though Democritus had no instruments to prove his theory, his reasoning anticipated the spirit of scientific inquiry that would emerge centuries later. In the end, Democritus' philosophy did not triumph in ancient Greece. Plato ignored him, and Aristotle rejected the void. Yet his ideas endured, quietly persevered in writings of later thinkers like Epicurus and Leucippus, and rediscovered during the Renaissance. When scientists like John Dalton and others finally proved the existence of atoms in the 19th century, they were in a sense fulfilling the dream first imagined in the mind of Democritus more than 2 millennia before. And so the philosopher who once laughed at the folly of men might have the last laugh after all. From his vision of invisible atoms moving through the void came the foundation of all modern science, a testament to the power of reason and imagination to pierce the unseen fabric of reality. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned a little bit about the birth of atomism in ancient Greece.